Narcissistic abuse syndrome is when you are in a relationship with a narcissist. It almost always occurs. It's almost impossible not to experience this pattern of harm because you have to submit. You have to submit your self-esteem. You have to submit your dreams. You have to compromise, sacrifice your goals, your self-esteem, for some your body, your money, your intellect. You sacrifice so much. And that is before they hurt you with physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse. So my point is, narcissistic abuse is just not getting the crap knocked out of you. It's what you have to lose and sacrifice in order to satiate the appetite for attention and priority and affirmation of the narcissist. But typically, narcissistic abuse involves all areas of abuse. It typically involves gaslighting. The more that I thought about gaslighting, and I'll explain what it is in a second, the more I realized it's part and parcel to the SLD's experience as a child all the way up to adulthood. Gaslighting is when a pathological narcissist purposely and systematically manipulates the victim SLD into believing they have a problem that they either never had or had a problem that was only minor. They convince their victim SLD that the problem makes them undesirable, makes them unlikable. They shame their supposed friend, lover, spouse into believing that they're really sick. And the gaslighting requires them to manipulate the environment to prove to the brainwashed SLD that they have this problem, so that they become so ashamed of themselves, they isolate and go into a bubble and believe the only person that loves them and protects them is the same person that is brainwashing them. So that's gaslighting. So to understand narcissistic abuse, you have to understand the subtle forms of abuse. You have to understand how gaslighting happens either in mild forms or very severe, what I would call traditionally sadistic and pathological forms. And it also is seen in deprivation, abandonment, neglect. Remember this. The harm caused, the abuse caused, is not what happened. It is the experience of it. The next thing I want to talk about is the importance of unisolating yourself. You cannot overcome narcissistic abuse in a vacuum or a bubble. Narcissists purposely do it to you, and SLDs fall victim to it because of their part of the problem. If they, and some of this they already had before the relationship with the narcissist. They don't feel good enough, loving enough, pretty enough, sexy enough. They have this distorted belief that if someone really knew them, they would not love them. So you have to find a way to break your either self-imposed, emotional, you can have a lot of friends, but no one will know you. That's a form of isolation. Or you can have no friends because you're taking care of everyone else and you're just exhausted. Or your narcissist gaslighting you and tricks you into believing that no one loves you, so you fall victim to the comfort of isolation, or many other reasons. You have to start building social connections. In stage 4, this is where you start to be around what I would call normal people. Normal people have problems. Normal people sometimes need to go to a therapist, but normal people don't fall victim to narcissists. And if they have a problem, they work on it to solve it. Here are more things that you have to do. You have to demystify banking, investments, bills, and etc. It is very common for the narcissist to have control over their SLDs because they are in charge of the money. They either gaslight the victim SLDs into believing that they're not smart enough, that it's too complicated because it's gaslighting. The SLD actually believes that, or they hide things. It is so common that the narcissist is hiding accounts, hiding money, spending things without being accountable. Whatever you can do with an accountant, a friend, online education is understand not only your bank accounts, your investments, your mortgages, paying bills. This is very black and white, non-emotional work, because when you get to stage 5 and you set these boundaries and you don't know any of this stuff, and all of a sudden he or she empties the bank accounts, he or she moves their investments to somewhere offshore, but you've worked stage 4 And you have done a lot of positive discovery in demystifying the whole money thing and the bills thing. And many of you who will eventually break free from this narcissistically abusive relationship, the biggest influence they have on you staying is often money, insurance. And if you don't know what it is, it's so easy to intimidate you. Don't ever unmask or try to take the mask off or try to out the narcissist. In that video, the one I told you about, they will do everything and anything to try to destroy you. It's more threatening to the covert narcissist to be outed than it is for the garden variety narcissist to be divorced or broken up with. You might feel this sense of relief that, some people say revenge is sweet, but that's fighting. That's part of the wrestling ring. It's so much better to save yourself and get yourself out of the fight versus antagonize them so they want to hurt you even more. Then there is the breaking free from gaslighting. Now that is a complicated subject, but it's worthy of some discussion here. So if we look at gaslighting as brainwashing, which it is, a systematic manner to change a person's thoughts and beliefs, to make them discount truth and reality, and to inculcate them or to implant narratives that are completely false. It's not easy to just break free from that. So if you or a loved one who's an SLD suffers from gaslighting, you're going to really need therapy. Because, just think about someone who was in a cult, and they, have been in this cult, for 5 years, 10 years. They've given all their money. They listen. They just don't walk away from the cult. And if you should pull them out, their thoughts and their ideas and sense of self and others are distorted. So if someone is gaslit, it's crucial to get them in therapy. And the last thing I want to say is the beginning of what I teach in stage 5. It's my Surgeon General warning. First of all, I have to say I'm neither a surgeon nor a general. I was a sergeant in the Army, but that's irrelevant. If in the United States, in federal government, the executive branch of the government is what we call the top doctor of the country, and he is the Surgeon General. They come up with warnings and all sorts of bulletins to help people stay healthy. And on a pack of cigarettes is that warning: if you smoke cigarettes, you'll get emphysema. So other countries have that warning. They just don't call it Surgeon General. So my Surgeon General warning is, if you follow this self-love recovery program and get past stage 4, go into stage 5, you are going to lose 75 to 85% of the people you thought you loved, who you thought loved you. You are not prepared for that. It's going to be heartbreaking, and you are going to have a setback. So when I talk about predictive awareness, when you get to that next step and you start setting the boundaries, the stuff hits the fan, and you have to be prepared. Here's the good news. By the time you finish stage 4 and you are so prepared and ready to go for it, you have support networks. You have a sense of self-love. You are hopeful. You are not pathologically lonely anymore. You are ready, and you have support systems, friends, family, religious, spiritual connections, and you have so many places of support. And then you start watching the people go away. You're not heartbroken. You are sad. You are not surprised. You are not shamed or guilted in. So by predicting everything that'll happen and knowing that when you move to setting the boundaries, you're going to lose most of the people that you know. And you have built an optimistic point of view that you don't want friends that make you sacrifice everything that you like or love. You just can't deal with that. And you're ready to let them go, even though it will make you sad. You don't want friends who tell you this, who are SLDs, who tell you stories of their constant losses and victimization, but know that they keep taking part of that. So you're not destroyed by it. And this is where I say that narcissists can be conditioned. If you learn the observe, don't absorb, if you learn all the rules and concepts that fall into stage 4, if you learn 3-strike boundary rule, the of course method, the induced conversation method, you shut down the narcissist, because all of his or her power is, remember, getting you into the wrestling ring. And when you take away any reinforcement, then after a while, they just stop doing it. Now, I have to warn you, it doesn't cure them. It doesn't give them a conscience. It doesn't give them empathy, but it does work.